Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Yeah, pardon my voice, a little bit, yeah. Anyway, if you didn't see my post on why we didn't have a video last week, I got COVID. My whole family got COVID. Went to a birthday party and somebody had it, and you know, share and share alike. So this stuff's for real. It knocks you down big time. But anyway, I don't want to get too much into COVID. I'm feeling better. Have a little bit of energy, and I promised a viewer that I would do a video on gas versus electric chainsaws, pros and cons. Obviously, I think there's a use for both because I have both. So let's just dive into the electric first, okay? And let's talk about why would you want an electric chainsaw when gas is readily available. So number one pro to an electric chainsaw is it's quiet. Now, quiet to a point. They still, I mean, you know, that's not, you know, but it's not deafening. You don't absolutely have to wear hearing protection when you're using an electric chainsaw. So quiet. If you live in a neighborhood, if you have neighbors that are somewhat close, even with 3 acres here, we have neighbors that are pretty close, and they certainly can hear when I use even an electric chainsaw. You may not want to be running a gas chainsaw, and you know, just for small things too. You know, making all that noise just for 5 minutes worth of work when you can grab an electric. Number two, the pro of having an electric chainsaw is they're just ready. They're ready to go all the time. I mean, sharpening the chain, of course, but you saw I just pulled the sleeve off and pulled the trigger and it went. That's what happens. It's every single time. You put a battery on it, you're not using any gas. You just the maintenance on it really is pretty much zero. Sharpen the saw, make sure that your oil reservoir is full, and you're good to go. So let's talk about the third pro, and this is kind of not so much a pro sometimes, depending on the saw, is the weight of the saw. So you could get an MS-290 like this, you know, and I'm not sure the exact weight, I'm just going by what it feels like, and this is a little bit lighter. You know, it's maybe a pound or two, I think. It's not so light that, you know, it makes a huge bit of difference. Even the MS-500, you know, they're not that great, but it is a little bit. And if you're limbing a tree, you knock one down, you're going to go up and you're just going to buzz off all the little limbs. Electric chainsaw is the way to go. It really is. The bar weight, they're smaller, thinner bars, just dip, 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 you know, especially something like this little guy. Now this is a, you know, over the top handle, and that's quiet as ever. There's really not much to it, but you're also not going to use this for even as much as you might this one. This one's just handy for going out and cleaning up. If you're just a residential homeowner and, you know, maybe you need to go and limb some trees once in a while, this little guy is definitely a nice tool to have. I really do like just grabbing it and zip, zip, zip. Yeah, it's good. Now, one major benefit to these electric chainsaws, and I don't know if it's exclusive to DeWalt, but DeWalt has done it right, is the toolless adjustments. So if I want to loosen the bar, I just flip this thing open and I can loosen that and then tighten it. And then of course, loosening and tightening the chain is right here. So if let's see here, oh goodness, that chain is loose. Okay, so I just loosen that and then I can just tighten that up. Right there is perfect. And then tighten that back down. I don't have to get a tool out and take any nuts off or anything that I might lose. It's it's very, very convenient. So other than that, I mean, the obvious, you don't have to mix gas for these. I think that's about it as far as the pros. And those are pretty big pros for electric. The power is there. They will cut. I can cut large logs with this. It's a 16-inch bar, and so a 30-inch, you know, if I go one side and then go the other, a 30-inch log, even oak, Yeah, it'll do it. I cut all day with this on you know, maybe 2 batteries. Yeah, so the 9 amp hour batteries, the big ones. They'll last a good long time, and they've got plenty of power. And of course, if you get your chain sharp, it sure helps. So anyway, that's about it for electric. Now, gas. What's the pros to gas? Absolutely, the pro to gas is power and speed. No question, you cannot beat the power and speed of a gas chainsaw. I have the MS290 that I've had for a long, long time. And I just got the 500i, what, a year and a half ago. And these suckers, especially the 500i, man, they will blow through logs. I think I've said enough about that. Power, definitely. So another pro to a gas chainsaw is you can be out in the woods, have a good sizable amount of mixed fuel ready to go, and you'll never have to worry about running out of power because it will run on gas. Every single pull of the trigger is going to be the same with that gas. So the power is consistent and the power is always there as long as you have fuel. Another pro to gas chainsaws is they're built better. They are definitely more robust. They're made for the elements and taking them out in the woods and laying them down in the ground. You know, especially the Pro Series saws. I can only speak for Stihl, but I'm assuming for all the other Pro brands, they are certainly built strong. And you know, this one has stood up the test of time, and this one, you know, still as good as it was when I got it new. So, you know, definitely strong, powerful, meant to work hard and meant to last gas chainsaws. I think a final pro to a gas chainsaw is that if you showed up on a job site to help somebody out and you had a little electric like this versus a gas, you're probably going to be a little more respected. I mean, really, proof is in the pudding. When you start cutting off limbs, they'll be able to tell whether you know what you're doing or not, but it's more of a serious tool. This is definitely more of a serious tool for a serious person who really cuts a lot of wood. If you don't cut a lot of wood and all you're doing is managing your property a little bit, you know, electric for sure. All right, so before we get into the cons, the you know, the downfalls of either or, let's talk about price. So what are you going to pay for any of these? I want to compare these two because I think they're kind of apples to apples as far as the quality of saw. This is your entry-level gas saw from Stihl. They don't make the 290 anymore. They make the 291. So I kind of feel like I have a collector's item here, but anyway, and then you can get this anywhere. So just like your big box store, Home Depot, I think they offer this with a charger and a battery, like the 9 amp hour battery, for around 560 bucks. Not cheap. So, you know, or if you already have DeWalt batteries, I think you can get just the saw for around shy of 300 to 270 or something like that. But still, it's quite an investment for a saw. And if you're going to spend that much money, you would expect that it would do all the pros that I told you it would do. It's still worth it. I obviously I bought one, so I think it's worth it. Now the Stihl MS291, I think at Ace Hardware I saw it for around 530 bucks. So it's about the same price, apples to apples as far as cost. Now you have to decide for yourself, which would you rather buy? Electric, DeWalt, or a entry-level gas-powered Stihl? Anyway, now this is obviously a little less money. I don't know exactly how much it is, and this is obviously a lot more money. The Stihl MS500i, I think I paid around $1,200 for it. This is a Pro Series saw, and it will do everything you want it to do. It does everything I want it to do, I should say. I mean, except for getting, I say it compares to the MS660 or 661. It'll handle about the same size bar as the 661. Otherwise, you're going up to the 880. I mean, that's a crazy big saw. for the weight and power that this 500i has, I just can't see. If you can still get one, I love this saw. Anyway, so, you know, price-wise, if you're a serious tree cutter, if you're doing even doing firewood like I do, that's the main reason I have a serious saw, is, you know, I want to be able to cut bigger wood, and I want to be able to rip through, you know, piles and piles of logs, and the electric chainsaw will do it, but it won't do it anywhere near as well or as fast as these gas saws. This has become my backup saw now. So when I'm out and I'm using this, I keep this in the truck just in case something might go wrong. I can just grab another saw, and I still have plenty of power to keep going. They both have the same size bar on them right now. That's a 20-inch bar, and that's a 20-inch bar. So I have a 36-inch bar for this one also, and the 290 will not handle a 36-inch bar. The 20 is the largest it'll handle. So, and you can't really go switching out bars on these. I think they're pretty proprietary to what they have. You might be able to find an aftermarket one. I haven't really researched that, but they do just fine with the bars they come with. So let's talk cons. Cons of electric. The con of electric, especially for something small like this, is the lack of power. You will not be able to go as fast or as, yeah, I mean, time and pressure, you can cut through anything if you've got enough patience. But it's just ridiculous when you think about how much power these gas saws have and how fast they'll cut through a log versus these electric ones. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense to pick up an electric saw because of the lack of power compared to a gas saw. Another con to the electric, kind of already mentioned it, is they're all plastic, and they are definitely not as strong or as well made as even the entry-level steel saw. And like I said, I'm pretty sure that goes hand in hand with any of the other brands of saws. If you're going to get a gas saw, you're automatically getting better parts and better build to your saw. The electrics just aren't quite as beefy. Cons for the gas. We already talked about noise. They are very loud. You definitely have to wear hearing protection, and you will affect the people around you. If you have close neighbors and you're out cutting up some firewood to put in your bonfires, they're going to hear you for sure, and they're probably going to be like, what are they doing? Anyway, if you don't care about having neighbors, or if you're surrounded by farmland, and you know, then that's not even an issue. So one pro about gas that is also a con is the power. You are much less likely to have a kickback or a damaging kickback, something that's going to do you bodily harm with an electric saw. They still do kick, and there still is power, and there still is danger involved. You should still wear PPE when you're operating an electric saw, but a gas saw is going to be a lot less forgiving when it decides to jump out of the wood at you. I personally had experience with this Farm Boss. I was cutting through a log and it pinched, caught the top of the chain, and it shot back and hit me right in the gut with this handle right here. And I had a subdural hematoma because of it. Nothing obviously serious, but boy, that was very painful. So gas chainsaws are, to an extent, more dangerous than electric chainsaws. So one plus is the power, but the power comes with great power comes responsibility. Anyway, so make sure you're being careful when you're using any chainsaws, but especially gas. So now one final note, and this is the real question: is what should I get? Well, for me personally, I want to have both. I have lots of use for an electric chainsaw. As a matter of fact, I will grab this electric chainsaw more often than I ever will a gas chainsaw, because most of what I'm cutting is small, and I don't need to grab a gas chainsaw. I don't need to be fast. I'm just out, you know, cutting up some firewood. But if I am going to cut down a tree, especially doing one that I'm being paid for, or, you know, is on someone else's property, and I need reliability, and I need, you know, I need the power from the gas, I will be using the gas chainsaw, and I will maybe use this for limbing up the brush, but gas will be the way I go if I'm doing some serious tree work. So obviously I have uses for both. But the real question, if you could only buy one saw and you could choose, let's take this out of the equation, and let's take the MS500i out of the equation. So we'll break it down to just these two saws then. Out of gas and electric, which of these two saws would I buy, being, let's just say they're exactly the same price, with the battery and the charger and the gas steel chainsaw. It doesn't come with the case or anything. Let's just get to it. I would definitely, bar none, without question, choose a gas chainsaw if I could only choose one chainsaw. Even though I use this chainsaw more than I use this chainsaw, I would want the features, power, and build and reliability of a gas chainsaw if I could only have one. So, you know, sorry neighbors if I'm making a lot of noise. As a matter of fact, I hear a chainsaw off in the distance right now. It travels for miles. A gas chainsaw, that it just travels for miles. So anyway, gas chainsaw is the way to go. Not that there isn't definitely an argument for buying the electric chainsaw, but if I can only have one, that's it. So anyway, what do you guys think? What's your, if you've got experience with electric chainsaws, you know, have they come far enough that they're a serious consideration, or you guys think that gas is the only way to go and it's just a fad? Anyway, I appreciate you watching. Thanks for all the well wishes. I am feeling a lot better, and I said in the last video 2 weeks ago, we have some very big things happening, and I can't tell you what they are until everything is done, but it's going to be a major change for the channel, and hope to be able to tell you about it soon. So we'll see you next time when I'm doing more stuff.